The Neighborhood Development Committee will come to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy. Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Gunther. Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Chairman Cone.
Present.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Murphy. Alderman Gunther. 5 present. You have one.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with Board Bill 204. I thought I saw Alderman Williamson in the room. Yep. Alderman Williamson also has Board Bill 223, which we'll take next.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to everyone. Board Bill 204 is a project of a former elementary school located at 1020 Union, Clark Elementary School next door to Soldan. This particular building was vacant approximately 7 to 8 years. There's been several other developers that came through to try to make this project work. They applied for tax credits, never was awarded the tax credit, and so the Clark Union LLC developers came along and decided to go ahead and make this project work. They're investing their own money. They're implementing approximately $4 million. I do have some handouts here, Mr. Chair. And it's approximately 45 units that would be totally redone to convert this over to an apartment building. And they purchased the property for $500,000. That was the cost of it. So it's going to be really a great shot in the arm in this community. This is an area of the 26th Ward. It's a low to moderate income area. So this will help increase the property value in this area, the 26th Ward. I'm very excited about it, and I hope that we can get your favorable vote, and we are asking for a 10-year tax abatement. I'll take any questions you may have any.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So this is a project that's only going to cost $4 million. Is the school building in relatively decent condition then, or?
It was deteriorating because it was vacant for quite a long time. You know, it had some infrastructure damage with pipes being busted, floors buckling, roof leaking, those type of things. Several times they've had break-ins, and I used to have to get on the Board of Education to board up several windows and cut the grass. Used to have some bushes in the front, some hedges. The developers finally got rid of those because they were growing wild, so it became very deplorable in our community from time to time.
Who's the developer on it?
Clark Union LLC, and this group is...
Yeah, actually, could the developer come forward, please?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're on the sign-in sheet. Great. Steve Levin? So just based on my experience being down here at the Board of Aldermen, $4 million seems relatively inexpensive to rehab a 45-unit apartment building, especially one that wasn't designed for residential use. You're going to have to run plumbing and all sorts of stuff. So how is that being done on a $4 million budget?
May I say that's an excellent question. I appreciate it. So we have experience doing it. We have done many projects in the area, and there are award-winning projects. We did a project between the same block in the Central West End between Boyle and Sarah on the Clede, historic printing residences. We did recently completed on Park and Jefferson, 10 units, and both historic projects, and we're able to deliver high-quality products, win awards, and rent at this affordable rate because it's all in-house. So we are the principals of the real estate company, of the construction firm and the architecture firm. We have a staff of very qualified subcontractors that we've used for 20 years. And also, remember that these are historic costs, to qualify, and so we do not include in there, and we don't take contractor fees, developer fees, management fees.
So you are applying for historic preservation
Yes.
tax credits?
Yes.
So the $4
It's a
million.
historic building, it's on the National Historic Register.
Right, but, so the $4 million is not the total development cost then? The $4 million is just the,
Well, it wouldn't include those fees, yeah. But we're not taking them. I'm just saying,
wait, so you are taking tax credits or you're
no,
not taking
I'm
tax
sorry,
credits?
we're not taking those fees. Now, so when you see a number that's larger, usually those are including all these other costs. That's one reason it's not there. So there's two reasons our costs are down.
But even just hard costs of things like plumbing, for instance, which is a huge cost in a residential facility or conversion.
We can do it. We are doing it. I'm currently on budget, and all the plumbing's in.
Okay. Other questions from the committee? Alderman Moore? Alderwoman Howard?
So, to be clear, you're taking the historic tax credits,
Yes.
but you're handling all that in-house? Is that what explains the economical
No,
economy here? I mean...
we're not taking developer fees. We're not taking contractor fees. So those fees, normally, when you hear the budget for a job, are also included.
Okay. So you're doing those all in-house?
Yes,
so
we're
that
doing, yes, exactly.
Okay, and you don't have to contract with other people and have that...
Yes.
those layers?
Exactly.
Okay.
And I say, we're able to do it much more cost affordably because we have a relationship with our subs and they give us a very good price because they like working for us, because we're honorable, because we like only doing good work, because we pay on time, for a lot of reasons.
Okay, and what is the name of the project on Laclede that you said? I couldn't...
I call it NPR, National Printing Residence. It was an old historic,
National Printing Residence?
uh-huh.
Okay.
It's on the north side, middle of the block between Sarah
And these
Boyd.
are all done under Clark Union LLC, or?
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
These are
What
just
is the name
prior
of your
project-
company, then?
Okay, so the entity that we formed to develop this property is called Clark Union LLC.
Uh-huh.
But the real estate company is called Helix Realty.
Helix?
Yes,
Okay.
and my architecture firm is Helix Architecture.
Oh, okay.
And the contracting firm, which is also me, is called Mesa Contracting.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd just like to say, just very briefly, we're in this because we love it. We live in the area, we work, both of us in the area. We take on difficult projects, as, Frank pointed out, that no one else wants, And this is a very tough project. Can I hand something out to you?
Sure.
Yeah,
Chair?
no,
I defer.
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
I have so many things, so I don't know exactly what.
I just want to state for the record, too, they do have minority participation, even though they're not receiving any funds from the city of St. Louis with the mayor's executive order, but they do have minority participation is up to snuff.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Alderman.
That's, yeah.
And also, I'd like to point out in that regard,
The microphone.
just as a point of interest, I didn't know we had to qualify, but we had already qualified anyway, because that's just what we do, so it's like, we didn't need the city to, encourage us.
That is a wonderful old grand building.
Lovely building. So in here, you can just see, the state of deterioration. So the building suffered enormously. When it was vacant, it heats and cools, and everything's spalled. All the concrete, all the plaster, all the paint, all the pipes. There was theft. Every piece of copper was stolen. The equipment was vandalized. Doors were broken. Windows broken. It's just awful.
How many apartments are you going to make?
45.
45?
Yes.
Okay. How many classrooms are in there?
Like that. It's
45?
basically, because of the historic requirements, we kept every classroom intact and used that as our starting point to define our.
Now,
but
what
again-
about the larger areas, the gym and the common areas?
So here I'm going to hand out floor plans.
Okay. And then one more question.
Yes,
What are you doing with the exterior, the play yards and so forth? Will those be parking?
yes. So here, I'll give you out another handout. We will have, there's, again, 45 units, so times 2 would be 90 parking spaces, and we're currently setting it up for 92 parking spaces. And that includes a living room along the back for decks and things to make it a more pleasant experience.
Some common spaces.
Yes. I will say, just again as an aside, there was a gym thing in the back, jungle gym. But it was used to sell drugs. And they were just sitting out there every night. It was unbelievable. And so I had to take it down. But again, I just want to reiterate. So we're in the area. We have the professional experience to develop and manage these things. We are 90% rented everywhere we go. We have a reputation in the area. People like us. They trust us. And this is an area that's crime-ridden. There's some statistics in that thing you'll see in the last months of vandalism, property. We can't do it without your help. Even the way it works right now, we're going to be operating at approximately a $60,000 loss for the first 6 to 7 years, at least. And that's because we have it set up as essentially $1.20 a square foot, low-end market rate, because that's what we want to do. We do not want to push people out of the area. We want to keep the people in the area. We want to give people a product that they can afford. It works all the way around.
Now, these will be market rate.
Yeah.
You want another one? Are you okay? I have 2 more.
Okay,
3
that's
more.
all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
I don't really have any questions, but I'll just commend the Alderman of the 26th and yourself for trying to pull this off. And if you can definitely do it at this rate, come to my ward. I'm open for business as well.
Thank you. Thank you, and that's the case. We're not. We don't have any funds from the city. We're personally liable on this project. On the note, it's a non-recourse loan. It's a recourse loan to us personally, and we do this all ourselves because we love to do it. But we definitely need help here. Even at $4 million, we need help. Your assistance would be most appreciated.
So, okay. Alderwoman Murphy. No questions. Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This looks like a great project. So you're going to be using Missouri Historic Tax Credits,
Yes.
and this is a considerable size project. I presume you know that those are in great jeopardy right now.
Yes.
And,
But we submitted last year, so they've already been approved.
I hope you'll consider communicating with our state legislature and our governor that these are important to you.
Yes.
Because they're important to our city.
Exactly. These projects cannot be done without them, frankly.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't touch it. We couldn't, so.
One disconnect I've noticed here, and I don't mean to throw a wrinkle in this, but the current assessed value of the property is $80,000, but the acquisition cost was $500,000, so
Right.
there's quite a considerable disconnect.
No. That was an estimated tax on the improved value. The current tax is about $7,000.
The current tax on the building is $7,000 a year?
I believe so. You can look it up. It's on the record
Okay.
somewhere.
And so the current assessed
wait.
value is not correct? Sure. Excuse me? I have just a fact sheet from SLDC.
Oh, no, that's okay. I have one that's scribbled on with my notes. There it is. No. Anyway. Go ahead. I'll find it. What is your question?
And perhaps this is a question for SLDC rather than the developer, but just the disconnect in the current assessed value of the property seems awfully low to assess. Do we have any thoughts on that?
That's the
You can look
I
it
don't know
up.
how, I don't know how this.
It's just-
I mean,
It's a matter of record. It's $7,500, $7,500.
one-fifth of the value.
I think it's 1/5.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably ranked, so the market value would be 5 times whatever that assessed value is. But of course, it's been a school, so.
Do the assessors have assessments on our St. Louis the vacant St. Louis public schools as a matter of course? Or
No, but I think in this situation, they try and put one together.
one together,
because
okay.
they know it's not going to continue to be
So
a
then,
school.
in other words, this hasn't been on the tax rolls for many, many years. How long has it been vacant?
It hasn't been on the tax roll
It's
ever.
never been on the tax
because-
rolls.
Right,
It's a
because
school.
it's a school. So,
So the
and
tax
how long is it,
assessed
how long has it been
I
a
don't know.
vacant
How long has
building?
it been vacant?
8 years?
8 years,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this is a great reuse of the building. I'm glad to see, I mean, I used to drive by this often. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful,
and it's just
beautiful
sitting there, and
building.
it is
So-
it's a magnificent building. And as an architect, I go by it just amazed walking through it every day.
Dale, thank you for helping me understand that. So the assessor's office just put something together when these go back? Okay. Sure. Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Alderman Gunther?
No question.
Thank you for joining us. Alderman Oldenburg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just a few, Mr. Levin. How many square feet is the total building?
It's about 15,000 square feet of floor, so, excuse me. Yeah, I think so. Let me give you one more sheet. Yeah. Here's one.
Was it on that? I'm sorry if it was on.
I may not have handed this one out. This is a unit breakdown and an area of every apartment. So it's about 15,000 square feet of floor. So the whole total building's about 45,000 square feet.
Okay. And do you have, not that I think this board or committee might need it to make a decision, but would you mind maybe passing along your sources and uses in a detailed budget that has a square foot breakdown of the construction costs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And, to
Do
qualify
you have,
for
do you
the-
have an idea of what the per square foot construction cost is?
Yeah. So it's about $85 a foot. Just take the 4 million.
Yep.
Divide by 45,000.
Okay.
But that's also not the total cost, though, because you're not factoring in the credits that you're receiving.
That's correct.
So,
But it is what it is. I'm just saying that's the actual cost to us. And on that basis, we're losing money every year.
that's the note, and I understand that, but
Right.
that's, the note you're carrying is a $4.5 million note.
Yes.
But the total cost is actually higher
Yes.
because of the credits. So having a budget that reflects the total
No,
cost.
I didn't back out the credits yet. That's the full cost without any credit.
Okay, so I guess where I'm struggling here, and
Right.
I mean, if I may, Alderman, so this project, I mean, I don't think anyone on this committee is going to disagree. It sounds like it's a really wonderful project. What I'm struggling with is whether or not we should give you more tax abatement.
Right.
Or if the quality, like, I'm wondering about what you're actually putting into the building, not the note that you're going to be carrying, but the actual development costs.
Well, here, look at it this way.
So,
Maybe this
you
will
know,
help.
4.5,
I'm saying,
is 4.5 million all you're spending on the building? Or is that your permanent note on the building once you're finished?
there are additional costs. It does not include interest payments, for example,
But-
on the construction. By the way, I don't know, because it's not permanent financing yet, but there will be.
So you're self-financing?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, I have a loan, so I have to pay interest on the loan, but it's a construction loan. Let me.
but
let
then
me-
your construction loan has to be turned over to a permanent loan once construction is complete.
Exactly. And
So-
so those costs are not in here yet, because I don't know what they are. So those would be in addition to the 4 million.
So no interest, Gary, but hard construction
Hard
costs are
construction costs.
$4.5 million.
Look at it that way. That's hard construction costs only. Now, but can I just say, I'm saying we're operating at $67,000 a year loss. Say the state credits are 25% of 2 million. It's like 50,000, you know. So that could defray our losses for 6 years or something, you know. We're still, even with using the credits, operating at a loss for a long time at this market rate with this budget. So we still need more help. That's my point.
Do you know how much in qualified rehabilitation expenses you have?
No,
You don't yet?
because it's ongoing, so we have to get it approved, you know?
Right.
But let's assume, I'm assuming we get the full 25%. I can identify.
Yeah, 25%,
qualified
but of what exact cost?
I think the
It
state
won't be on
allows,
the
the
full
state allows up to
4.5
2 million. I don't think
Yeah,
you can
no,
take more.
you
So
can't.
25% of 2 million.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm using, you know? But I'm saying even with that, we're operating at a loss. And that's even with our ability to do this at a very affordable rate. And you have to take into account, we're going into a dangerous area, and we're taking a big risk, and we're taking it all personally.
No, that I
You
certainly
know? So I'm
understand.
saying we really need your help here. It's not like I'm making it up to
So
get.
I just want to be clear. I don't think anyone is not supportive of this.
Right.
We're just trying to understand, I mean, and Dale, perhaps, since you all, I would hope, at, you know, LCRA reviewed budgets, I mean, was there a budget that was put forward with LCRA, or was this just, you know, it's in the academy neighborhood, so we're going to support a 10-year tax abatement?
A little of each, but certainly, because it's in the academy neighborhood, that's the reason it's a full 10-year without a percent, it's 100%.
But if he's operating at a $6,000 loss, why isn't this 15? I mean, he's coming and saying, but part of the reason why I don't just suggest to the alderman from the 26th why we don't amend this to a 15 is because I don't have a budget from you. So I can't recommend that to anyone on the committee without seeing a full budget in front of us. I mean, that's certainly something, you know, this seems like a worthwhile project, and I mean, if the alderman from the 26th is okay with it, you know, I would like to actually put this on hold so that we could actually get a budget from you and see if there's something that the LCRA and the Board of Aldermen can help with even further. Okay, so, I mean, if you're okay with that, Dale, if you're.
Well, we
okay
could
with
have
that.
our financial analysts run it at 15 and see where we come up with.
But I think a great concern is we just want to know the actual finances of the project.
Yeah.
You know, before recommending any additional incentives for it. But
Well, the 4 million is the number we had, but we, obviously you're getting
I mean,
into.
clearly that's
some-
not,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, clearly there's other components to the budget besides the 4.5 million. So I think we need to have a more comprehensive picture there. But I guess where I'm coming from is I think that, you know, we might be able to help you a little bit more, but we need a clearer picture in terms of what the project is going to look like. So,
There's the budget. So you see, that's pretty much hard costs.
This is not really broken out. There's no environmental in here. Yeah. Are you using conventional financing for this? Okay. Do you have LOIs out, or do you have commitments from any of those partners?
I can't think of the name of the bank. Eric Whitford's my banker. I'll think of it in a second. But typically, we stay with that same institution, and we'll just turn it over into a permanent financing at a very affordable rate. You know, we don't have any points up front, and they just, so I expect that to happen here as well.
Okay.
But we do have a good relationship with any number of banks. It's a surprising thing, but banks come to us wanting to finance our projects.
And are you contemplating using the federal historic tax credit or just the state?
Well, the thing about the federal is, you know, you can't sell them, so they're going to be for us. So we won't benefit from them until as historic property, you have to hold it as apartments, you know.
Sure.
So we could ultimately use that if we sold them in 5 years or something, you know, but they don't impact this analysis.
Okay.
I would still like some time if we could maybe put this on next month's agenda.
We have a date now for next month, so we can just.
Okay. Does that impact your project at all, or?
It makes me nervous, but you're actually offering to help, so it'd be very
Yeah,
silly for me to
I
say
think it would
no.
be under the premise that we'd like to see if we can increase this, and I think we just want to unpack the
For the
numbers
record,
a
that you
little bit.
increase it at this level, and that you're looking to maybe increase it?
So, I mean, I would say that most of us, I mean, I obviously have not had direct conversations with our colleagues, but based off of previous projects that have been submitted to this board and this committee, I mean, I would feel comfortable that this would pass out at a 10-year, but I think, you know, looking at potentially increasing it to a 15-year is something that we might be amenable to after further review of the budget.
Okay, when is the next meeting? What date?
I haven't said it, but Dale,
Yeah, well, I sent you an email, and you said, okay, I think it was like the 24th of February.
oh, did I?
Whatever that Tuesday is.
Is it the 20th of February?
Could be, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the next meeting would be the 20th of February?
We never take a vacation. And
Okay.
my wife and I just happen to be away that week, but I don't know what we'll do. Is it possible to do this not at a public meeting if I give you everything?
Well, yeah, certainly, well, the board bill would have to pass out at the next committee
Right.
hearing, but we could meet offline before then and have a
Could we do that?
conversation. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be
no,
great. Then
that's fine.
let's do it. That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
So I really thank you.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And Alderman, are you okay with that as well? Okay, I wouldn't want to do anything if you're not okay with that. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Levin.
Well, thank you
We
all.
appreciate your time
Appreciate
this
it.
morning. Okay, Alderman, do you want to present Board Bill 223, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, Board Bill 223. It's located at 5522 Delmar. This is right across the street from the old Connect Care, old St. Luke's Hospital, which hopefully it will be restored, the Connect Care, in the next couple of years or so, which is a $90 million project, but that's a whole nother story. The owners are Tangier One LLC. This particular apartment building was kind of built in the early to mid-50s. It's 50 units, ranging from $500 to $700 per month. And also I have handouts here. And the purchase price of this particular building was $610,000, and this is another construction cost, approximately $4 million. No tax credits are being used to renovate this apartment building. Does have kind of an issue with the parking in the rear. It's like only 28 to 30 spots that are available. So hopefully when the Delmar Divine comes online, they want to try to do a little negotiation when it comes to parking for their tenants. And this building has been vacant, I guess, maybe about 6 to 7 months. Now, there was some tenants living there, but they had to move out because the building was in very, very bad shape. It was deplorable. So we're also asking for a 10-year tax abatement. Hope that we can get you a favorable vote on it. I'll entertain any questions you have, or at least try to.
Thank you, Alderman. I lost my roll call sheet here. I believe Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard, sorry, Alderwoman Howard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Murphy.
I'm sorry, Alderman, you said it was an apartment building, and then it was,
Yes, it's always been an apartment building, that's
Oh,
correct.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's in pretty bad shape now. This apartment building, like I said, was built like somewhere in the early to mid-50s.
and it seems like the rents are going to be kind of affordable.
Affordable,
for-
that's correct,
for
yeah,
everyone.
$500 to
Okay.
$700 a month. Yeah, these units are not that large. As you can see, it's gonna be 34 studio units, 9 one-bedrooms, 6 two-bedrooms.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
We're changing. Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Who was the developer here? I don't see, it's the
Tangier
Tangier's one?
one.
Have they, I'm not familiar with them. Are they,
Yeah, to be honest with you, they have several different LLC names. They do own some apartment buildings that are located within the 28th and the 26th. And if you'd like to talk about
Yeah,
it.
I can-
Sure,
I can
thank you. Dale could
Shed a
comment
little
on
bit. It's a very active developer, Vic Alston, and he has under construction on Pershing a rather large apartment building in Alderman Williamson's ward. It's not completed yet. You can see it from the Forest Park Expressway, the back of it, across from what was the Atlas. He took a Polar Wave building down in Soulard, converted it to apartments, and now has a new apartment building just east of it on the same block under construction. He is just starting construction on what was known as the Mop Factory in Lafayette Square, converting it to apartments. So, and he has a number of other projects, but it's a very active developer.
Mr. Chairman, my only concern really, I mean, just, I'd like to see us have a more uniform approach to the tax abatement in a general sense. That I realize this is a market type A. I know that there's surrounding areas that look compromised, but the 10 years at 80% and kind of where I'm looking forward to a more uniform approach to those figures. As we move forward?
I mean, actually, Dale, can you respond to that, please? Why is the staff recommending this at 10 years at 80%, and then there's another project in here in Grabway Park that's being recommended for 10 years at 90%? Why?
They're just vastly different neighborhoods.
But that's not a vastly different recommendation from the staff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess I mean, we're wrestling with the same question. This is within essentially the central corridor, and the building is a 1950s building. It's not, a wonderful historic building, but it's a building that would be very nice to get back into full occupancy. So this is the result of that analysis.
So why wouldn't the Grabway Park be recommended for 10 years at 100%, given the nature of that neighborhood versus something in the central corridor. And I mean, it's on Delmar, which obviously is a struggling commercial corridor to a certain extent, but it's also, it's starting to see a rebirth of sorts, you know, with the Delmar Divine and a number of other projects, you know, to the west in particular. But, you know, I'm curious, you know, I would support this just because, you know, I do realize that it's surrounded by areas that are, you know, very much underserved, and it's kind of that, you know, first in, you know, rule. But, you know, I'm just, it doesn't seem very consistent still, and I thought we, you know, tried to address that through that resolution.
So you are well, I mean, this has less tax abatement than the other one, but you're saying the one you're talking about.
So why wouldn't the other one have more then?
It does have more. This one's 80%, that one's 90%.
Well, and I haven't looked at the other one specifically to see what the density is and all of that over there, but it's curious.
Well, I mean, as I said, this one, we're recommending less tax abatement for this project than we do for that one down there. So in that respect, we recognize.
Did this go through Mr. Ferry's model?
It did, yes.
Okay.
And he is here if you have a question of him.
Is that, I thought we used to get those spreadsheets that had the, you know, 4-star rating on them, which was annoying but helpful. Are we not getting those anymore?
I did complain.
Rating on Forest Park Southeast. On this project on Delmar and the one on Clark, John didn't have time to do those two analyses.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think if we had just an assessment from SLDC on all tax abatements, I mean, this is a potential $500,000 in tax abatement that we're issuing here, and we should probably take a good look at them in the future, making sure that this makes sense. The concern I just have is, you know, being in the market rate A zone, it certainly does beg the question if, you know, 10 years is necessary. That said, this is a very incredible building. There's a lot of unique characteristics to it, and I think seeing it developed is a very, very good thing for this stretch of Delmar and for that part of the city. It's, you know, what are those called? The balconies, the curved balconies are a very unique architectural feature.
Yeah, so
You know,
looks like a luxurious person.
that being said, when we have a market rate A zone, it certainly, you know, begs the question and certainly lends itself to having additional scrutiny that I'd like to see SLDC participate in so that we can say, yes, our development team really scrutinized it and we feel comfortable moving forward.
Right, but the issue is that this project is on the edge of A. and
Right,
everything's
but I think that's even more important why we have that analysis
The analysis,
available.
yes.
I think almost all of us understand that directly across the street from this, it would not be in an A category, which I think is why most of us are very much supportive of this.
Right.
But I think having the analysis available on that would, you know, certainly be helpful in the future, as my colleague from the 20th.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alderman Gunther,
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No questions.
Are there any other questions from members of the committee? Alderman Kennedy, I noticed you took a seat. Do you have questions of the sponsor?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill number 223.
I make a motion that we pass out Board Bill 223 with a due pass recommendation.
It's been moved by the alderwoman from the 14th and seconded by the alderwoman from the 13th that we move Board Bill 223 out with a due pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Aye. Alderwoman Murphy. Aye. Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Chairman Combs.
Aye.
Alderman Moore. 7 yes votes.
Okay, with that, we'll take up Board Bill number
All
206.
right.
Alderman
Thank you,
Kennedy.
Mr. Chair, and
Oh,
members of the committee. Thank you.
I'm glad you got something done.
We do.
Shall I proceed?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Board Bill 206 would provide 10-year tax abatement for property at 5122 to 24 Kensington. This property is in the Academy Sherman Park neighborhood, which is between Delmar and Dr. Martin Luther King's Highway in Union. It actually was named after the site of an old Indian mound that they called the Academy Mound. So this area was just right adjacent to that, which is now the mound itself is the old, where Wold Community Center is. So it takes the name, the neighborhood takes the name from that area. This project is north of Delmar, in a pretty distressed area. The homes are pretty large homes in that area. Some that are remaining, of course, can be renovated, and then there are a number of LRA vacant properties in the area. We are fortunate to have a couple who are interested in investing their own dollars in developing this four-family flat and bringing it back onto the rolls of the city. Their interest is to renovate this property and then to lease out the units. It would be 4 units there, 2 on the first floor, then above. This property is pretty large, and so then each unit would be from 2 to 3 bedrooms. We're asking 10-year tax abatement to help them in this particular project and to make it more affordable to them. They are investing their own dollars. They're not looking for anything from the city, and they're hoping to later do other properties in the area, which we are very strongly encouraging them to do so. We're very pleased that they originally are from St. Louis, had been in Texas, and came back and wanted to make a contribution to the city in this way. So I do ask for your favorable support.
Great. I actually have a friend that lives on Enright to the south of there. So
In this area?
It's, I'm very familiar with it. It's a beautiful area with lots of opportunity.
Lots of opportunities in this area.
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard.
It's a beautiful building. So is it going to remain 4 families?
Yes.
Lovely. It has a lot of potential, I think. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions, looks good.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Looks great. Looks like there's a few vacant properties to the east.
East and west of it.
Is there a plan for those with this, or are you hoping to do new construction in that area, or?
We're hoping to do new construction. The neighborhood association itself is doing planning with the planning office of the city. And so for the entire area, so that we have a comprehensive approach to doing development in that area.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear our planning department is engaging in that sort of thing.
We are engaging them in that.
That is phenomenal. That is all the questions I have.
Great. Alderman Gunther.
No questions necessarily, but I also just want to say that this is a beautiful building. I'm glad that this one is going to be restored. Hopefully the building renovation for $132,000 is actually a realistic number. But I'm glad they're moving forward with this one. So.
Thank you.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No questions. Thanks, Alderman.
Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 206.
Move that we pass Board Bill 206 with the
Second.
recommendation.
It's been motioned by the Alderwoman from the 20th Ward, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 14th Ward, that we pass 206 out with a due pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Chairman Combs.
Aye.
7 aye votes do pass.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Thank you, Alderman. With that, we'll take up Board Bill 247. Alderman Roddy. Two 247.
Those are 2 separate exhibits there, Donna.
more down here.
Are there other printouts?
That's extra.
No, well, we got two people down there.
Well, this is what I was doing. Right, that's right.
Okay, Alderman, if
Ready?
you could proceed, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is for the project in the southwest quadrant of the Grove neighborhood of Forest Park Southeast. If you, there's a color handout attached. This is perhaps the area of the Grove that experienced the highest or the greatest amount of disinvestment. You can see from the map with the the colors there, the extensive level of disinvestment, either vacant or abandoned housing that is over there. This is pretty much the last quadrant of the Grove that needs improvement. Not that there's not a lot of work that still needs to be done over there, but this is the one that's has not had any investment in it at all. We have a pretty exciting proposal. We had a developer that teamed up with Rise, and we were able to bundle many of those vacant properties together. Rise is putting in 50 affordable housing units, which will not receive any tax abatement at all. Then with that, we are putting up some for sale housing, and this bill before you is seeking 10-year tax abatement with at the 85% level. For the for sale housing. In addition, the developer has, the infrastructure over there is just really deteriorated over the years as well. So everything from curbs, sidewalks, alleys, street trees, it needs pretty much everything. And so as part of this, the Rise and this developer working together with the idea of creating a community improvement district that will be an overlay, and that will be how they end up financing all the street improvements that need to be made in order to make the sales of the houses possible. So in essence, what they're doing is wanting to build 52 single-family homes. And then there's the next, another part of it would be a phase for 12 townhomes as well, that, although that may end up shifting into apartments, but right now they're envisioning townhomes. The project cost would be $17 million.
Okay, questions from the committee? Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard.
So will they be tearing down the houses that are in the grid here, that are existing?
I believe there will be some demolition of some of the existing houses. A lot of those are obsolete. They're, the kind of three-room bungalow type houses that have lost, any of their economic. Although there's some over there that, we do have a few residents that are living over there, but I would, off the top of my head, I would say 75% of that area is either is vacant or is vacant land or vacant housing.
So if there are residents in any of these, are they being relocated, or how?
Well, actually, we're trying to go ahead and accommodate them. So, so that we do have some existing residents down there. Over the years, to try to, bring, as I think we're all aware, bringing back these neighborhoods is very challenging. You're trying to go ahead and accommodate, reinvestment, but at the same time, you're wanting to demonstrate, people who've been there for a long time. So over the years, we've done things like, we used to call it Christmas in April. What do they call it now? It's, where we come in and we help the existing homeowners with different.
I guess my, just the question is, and I'm not, the homes will sell for approximately $390,000 each. Is that correct?
Well, some of the homes in the Grove have been going for that high, and so we've been, very fortunate in
I guess the
interest.
question is, if somebody's been there for a long time, obviously, they're probably free and clear. They hold their property. to take on that kind of a loan, will there be some accommodation if they're, like low to mod income?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So nobody's being displaced in any of this. So this is all vacant property that we're going into now. There'll be 50 units of affordable housing that is being supported by MHDC, and RISE is doing that.
And those will be reserved for, I guess, first come, first served, but will the
Correct.
current
Those
residents
are-
have priority? If they
Well,
choose
the
to?
current residents have if they're living over there, they actually have their own housing probably, or they're currently renting. So, but these will be 50 new units for the neighborhood that are subsidized by MHDC. So
And
they're
what will
going to.
they sell for?
Those are rental units, so they
Okay.
typically are several $100s. So my experience, when we go in to fix up these neighborhoods, you have, as the neighborhood values go up, you mostly have winners. So people who own property do quite well. Now, if you're on fixed income in the neighborhood and property values go up, you have issues associated with higher taxes. If you're on a fixed income, we have the circuit breaker to try to accommodate that. And of course, we have a number of programs in the city that we use to try to assist the homeowners with forgivable loans or low-interest loans, and there's a number of not-for-profit groups that go in there and try to go ahead and create ways for existing property owners to remain there. The real challenge, though, is as neighborhoods get better, is that the rents go up, and it's the tenants that I find have the biggest challenge. And of course, we have a number of different programs that we've been looking at, that we have to help provide affordable housing in that regard. MHDC is the low-income tax credit program. We have both state and federal that filter through that. We have CDA that provides some money for that. And of course, we have the Housing Authority, and then we have our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So those are the four major programs that we have available to try to create affordable housing. And that's one of the, I think, attractive features about this. Within the Grove itself, we have another approximately 200 affordable housing units that have been put in over the years as a result of primarily MHDC funding.
So if people are there and they're, in existing housing that is covered by this, they would have been bought out, I guess.
Yeah, all these houses have been vacant. Yeah, every site on here is vacant right now. So there's no displacement at all. Much of the stuff has been vacant for many years.
Okay, so you're bringing it back online and getting tax revenue out of it. Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Hubbard?
No question.
Alderwoman Murphy?
The rendering of the new home, is that going to be typical? Are they all going to look that way, or is that just an example?
Fairly contemporary, correct.
They are.
Yeah, very contemporary.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer?
I'm just curious about the community, I have no questions at this time.
Okay. Alderman Gunther?
Well, I think I share the Alderwoman from the 20th. So can you explain to me kind of how this community improvement district will be, it says the taxes abated will equal the amount of the SID, and then that's going to be used for the streetscape. So can you explain how the SID works to pay back the?
Yeah, so in essence, what happens is it's a surtax, and then the community, that will go into the community improvement district, and that will then be the community improvement district can, in essence, borrow against that or do a variety of different things with it. But they would then take that money, and that would pay for sidewalks, curbs, streets, so, things like that that need to be fixed in the area. The entire infrastructure in that area is really in bad shape.
It's a real estate surtax.
Correct.
And I'm just wondering, because it says the tax payment would end early if the funds were fully repaid, so I'm just wondering how that would work. That's, I guess if.
Well, we didn't structure this, but as I understand it, for example, they might do $1 million worth of streetscape improvements, and if the SID on an annual basis paid off that $1 million in 7 years, and there was no longer any debt for those streetscape improvements, then the tax abatement would also be structured in such a way that it would end in that, after that 7-year period. As you really pointed out, the tax abatement is supposed to essentially equal the SID. So the average homeowner would just be paying normal taxes from his point of view. It's just that part of those taxes would go into the SID. And it would pay off for all the public improvements. Of course, it's all public, so it's really improving the city in the process. Interesting concept. We've never, I don't think, ever seen this kind of a thing before. And what's really neat about this one is the public improvements are in front of all these houses. So even though the market rate ones are paying for them all, the folks that are going to be in the subsidized units will get the benefit of the streetscape improvements, and all the existing homeowners that are there will also get the benefit of those streetscape improvements. So it's kind of a neat project.
Yeah, and then just kind of like taking a look at like the aerial map of this project, it really does seem like you kind of just went through and clear-cut Vista, although there are some homes that appear to be owner-occupied still within there, like, I guess this is, let's see here, the 40, let's see here, 44, 43, 44, 41 Vista. They seem to be owner-occupied, and it looks like their taxes are around $500 for a pretty modest-looking home. So is there any concern about what entire block of $400,000 houses is going to do to the person that's paying $500 a year in taxes and has a really modest-looking 1960s-ish home? Is there anything to address keeping those homeowners in there?
Well, I think when you build a home that's more expensive than the home you're living in next door, and then when you fix the physical infrastructure, the value of those houses we would expect would go up quite a bit. Now, if they're living on fixed income, they very well might qualify for the circuit breaker. But you know, I expect if they weren't living on that they should expect their taxes to go up at some point. So. But I don't think, you know, I don't think those homes will be worth nearly as much as the $400,000 homes next door to them, though.
Yeah, they look like one-story, 1960s, 1970s, maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's just a challenge that, you know, we have. If you're going to encourage reinvestment in neighborhoods, they're going to get nicer and the values are going to go up. And as values go up, taxes go up. And, you know, I think that's good. That's going to be more money for the school system, more money for the city.
No further questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
No really questions, but just a comment that back in my old intern days, this was, it's good to see this coming to fruition, sort of south of Manchester here in this part. I know it's been master planned and discussed and deliberated for a long time in that neighborhood, so congratulations, Alderman, and thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you for your help back in the good old days, too.
Any other questions of the sponsor?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You have questions, go ahead. I'm just going to make a motion.
I just have a concern that we have, this appears to kind of have, you know, taking tax, through a tax abatement and redirecting it to a SID, money that would have otherwise go into the general fund. The taxes are still assessed, but rather than go to the general fund, it's going very specifically to this area. And I just have concerns about that because with the state of our general fund right now, if we're going to collect taxes, you know, my concern would be putting those dollars under the control of the SID rather than the general fund, which clearly needs.
Well, it's a legitimate concern, Alderwoman. I don't know how to address it other than that, you know, the developer, you know, approached the neighborhood and SLDC and others and said that, they were interested in doing this, but they felt that in order to sell the homes over there, they needed to do the infrastructure, infrastructure work. I guess we could give them 100% tax abatement, not do the infrastructure work, but I thought this was probably the better solution for them. But it's a legitimate concern, and I'm not sure, that it would be very similar to a TIF district if we did a TIF district.
That's exactly right, yes. So before we continue, I mean, if this is a pilot sort of, or the first instance of this type of sort of shifting of, the tax, where the taxes are going, I'd like to explore this as a concept too, as our, committee moves forward. This is a fairly large project. It's larger than any project I have going in my ward. Recognizing that all neighborhoods need infrastructure, we all need sidewalks and that sort of thing, and kind of, before we move forward with another project, I respectfully request that we could kind of investigate this concept as a committee to some extent, because this is, if we're going to be moving in this direction, certainly it's something we should kind of explore more deeply.
I agree. I think that this would be a great model for many of our neighborhoods that are burgeoning on being depressed or have infill needed in certain areas or vacant houses that could be developed. I think this is probably a really good idea because we have some areas in the south, throughout the city that might benefit from this concept. Thank you. With that said, may I make a motion to pass Board Bill 247 with a do pass recommendation?
Second.
Is there a motion?
Previous roll.
Is there an objection to previous roll?
I'm on object to previous roll.
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Moore. Alderwoman Howard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy. Aye. Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther.
No.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
6 aye votes, 1 no vote.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Is that the only board bill you have before us this morning?
I think so.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And with that, we'll take up Board Bill 213, Alderman Ogilvie. Uh, 213 should be in your packet.
I don't have one.
Alderman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Board Bill 213 is a redevelopment and tax abatement bill for 2 properties on Kraft Avenue, 1216 and 1218 Kraft. There had previously been one very small home that had been vacant for at least 8 years, possibly longer. A new owner purchased the property, subdivided it into 2 lots, is constructing 2 contemporary infill homes, and the bill requests 5 years of tax abatement at 80%. It's in an MVAC area. And I can entertain any questions. Thank you.
With that, Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard.
I know you have floor plans here, but just quickly, how many square feet is this again?
How many square feet are the new homes?
Uh-huh.
I don't know exactly. They're probably in the 2,000 square feet range.
How many bedrooms, baths? Do you know that? It's really small. It's hard for me to read.
So I'm going by memory here, but these are probably 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath homes, but I am not 100% sure.
Energy efficient?
2,200 square feet.
2,200 square feet is what I'm told, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. I don't know if they're meeting any particular energy guidelines.
Okay, okay. And they're going to sell for $399?
Maybe. That'll be the list price.
What's that?
So that'll be the list price. In my mind, that's pushing a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah.
That's a lot of bananas. Okay. Is this west of Hampton?
Yeah, this is about 3 blocks from McCausland.
East of McCausland?
3 blocks east of McCausland, yeah.
Okay.
In the Dogtown neighborhood.
Okay. Wow. I hope we can get some of those in Bevo. All right, that's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard?
No questions.
Alderwoman Murphy?
No questions.
Alderwoman Spencer?
No questions.
Alderman Gunther?
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg?
No questions.
I actually have had experience with Mr. Adewande.
Me too.
In the 25th Ward. I hope your luck is a little bit better than mine.
Can be a little hit or miss, can it?
He did support our neighborhood community improvement district, though, which I very much appreciated. But the city ended up boarding up his building later. So with that, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 213.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill 213 with a due pass recommendation.
Second?
Previous rule.
Any objection to previous rule? Hearing none, Board Bill 213 passes out with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you.
Good luck. We will go ahead and take up Board Bill 238. Alderwoman Martin.
Good morning, Chairman and members.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is for Habitat for Humanity.
Do you have your handouts?
I do. Do you guys not have them?
No, you provide them to the clerk and then.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Continue, Alderwoman.
Thank you. So this was originally 5 vacant LRA lots. They've merged 2, so now it's 4. And we're looking at 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet of new constructed affordable housing with energy efficiency. And we just, Habitat for Humanity just did one in my ward. Great success, obviously, great community partnership involved. And I would love to have 4 more of these. And they're asking, for a 10-year abatement.
Questions from the committee? Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard.
So the $150 will be what they'll be offered for, or these are habitats, so they'll have the sweat equity and so forth into them? So actually, what does it come out to? Do you know the financing for each home that'll,
I'll let Michael Powers with Habitat answer that.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael. So the houses are actually sold based on the affordable equation that we do for each home buyer. So the $150,000 is what it costs us to build.
Okay.
And then you come in at a qualifying mortgage that might be 90.
Okay.
Or 80 or 75. So based on what your affordability is what your mortgage will be.
And then your
we
sweat
take
equity makes up the gap?
Sweat equity goes so far. We do a second forgivable mortgage, so as they're paying down their first mortgage, the second mortgage is being forgiven over time. So as long as that unit retains its affordability over the 30 years of the mortgage. Now, if they try to sell it, we have first right of recapturing that
refusal.
property.
Okay.
But we put our mission support money behind these projects over time. So it allows us to offset the costs to the
Okay.
buyer. And so the 10 years of tax abatement just reduces their monthly mortgage amount that they're going to have to pay. So unlike some of the projects you see today where it's rental housing, that the developer then can capture more of a profit is what we're talking about, we're actually just here on behalf of the future home buyers. So they are just the receiving of this benefit if it's offered. Once the taxes are reassessed in 2019, they'll maintain whatever they're paying now. And these are all LRA, formerly LRA-owned lots in this ward, and it's the only new affordable housing construction in that ward right now.
I guess one more question. I noticed these are 4-bedroom. Normally, what Habitat has done is 3 bedrooms.
Well, I wouldn't say that's exactly right.
I mean, my familiarity, I guess that's my,
What we do is we do a survey of a potential pipeline of buyers. So we look at different things like what is the makeup composition of their family, their household, and where do they want to live. So we take those sort of stories that we hear, you know, where are your familial ties, where do you work, how many people are in your family, and we adjust how we build in years forward based on our pipeline of buyers. So someone that comes into the program might have been there for 18 months before they're qualified for a mortgage.
Okay.
But when they start out, we know how big their family are, what size of home they're needing, and the 4-bedroom unit is the highest in demand for us right now.
yeah, I haven't seen the 4-bedroom before, and that's why I was just asking, because that's, yeah. So all of these will be 4 bedrooms?
All of these are all.
4-bedroom, 2-bathroom.
Yeah, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, up and down model. We've got a project that's getting completed in Bevo on Ulena, which is close to
Yeah,
you.
it's in her ward, but
That
it's,
we would
yeah.
love to give you a tour of because it's the same floor plan. That
Yeah,
you
give
could-
us a call, because I'd like to speak to you a little more.
Sure.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Alderwoman Murphy?
No questions. Like I said, they're completing 3 right now on Ulena, and I've had the pleasure of having one before that, so we're very excited. Thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer?
No questions.
Alderman Gunther?
No questions?
Alderman Oldenburg? I have no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, did I? I am so sorry. Alderwoman Hubbard. I'm so sorry. It's the H and H. Alderwoman Hubbard?
I'm fine.
Are there any other questions? No?
I make a
I'll entertain
motion.
a motion on Board Bill 238.
I make a motion to pass Board Bill 238 with a do-pass recommendation.
Second.
Thank you.
Previous roll.
Object.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy. Aye. Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Gunther,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Oh, so-
Chairman Cone,
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. And with that, we'll take up Alderwoman Spencer's board bills, starting with Board Bill 229. Michael, can I grab you for just a minute, too?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Before us, Board Bill 229 is a tax abatement for 3450 Oregon. And Madam Clerk, I will pass this out. Actually, Donna, can you grab me one of those? What, the piles were mixed up.
I'll do this side.
The piles are mixed up. Yes, there should be 229 in there. Oh. There were 2.
Oh, okay.
So 3450 Oregon is in the Gravway Park neighborhood, just south of Cherokee Street. This is one of the most challenged neighborhoods on the south side when you look at where the federal prosecutors, for example, were just recently focused on 5 neighborhoods in the city. One of them is Gravway Park. We continue to have high crime, and this is an area that has about 40% of its residents living at or below poverty, with 30% vacancy in the neighborhood. This is a single-family home development. Erica Johnson has already completed one project in the area. She's a smaller developer. She's doing these little, these smaller projects that are really good to infill within a neighborhood that has its challenges. The tax abatement here, even though SLDC is supporting 90% assessed value for 10 years, I'm supporting 10 years at full tax abatement, given the challenges inherent in this neighborhood, and I'm asking for your favorable support on that.
Dale, may I inquire, please? Or perhaps Jonathan and Zach. So this is in the F area. It's Gravway Park, which is part of the Pier Plan. It's, I mean, an area that has at least 20% vacancy, 30, yeah. Why would this be recommended for a 90% abatement?
All I can say is that it came before, you know, the whole staff review and the LCRA board, and that was what was recommended. You know, we're trying to get away from 100% except in, you know, problem areas, and obviously this is a problem areas. I mean, it may well be that no one was really aware of how significant the problems are in this particular neighborhood, but this is not a scientific thing. It's everyone putting their heads together and trying to figure out what makes sense. So to make it totally consistent, I don't think that will ever happen.
I understand, you know, I mean, various neighborhoods, various properties, you know, various expenditures. I mean, there's density, there's a lot of different qualifiers that go into these calculations, but I thought as we were walking through that, you know, with the analysis of these things, that there would be considerations that are made. And so I'm getting a little confused and frustrated here as to why, I mean, is this not, I mean, are we just saying no 100% tax abatements in the city ever again?
No, we're not saying that at all, because we recommended 100% on a couple today.
Right, so, but why in this particular area, which has a huge level of vacancy rates, a, you know, lack of investment that goes back at least 40 years, I mean, huge numbers of crime, and, you know, the property values over there are so depressed that most people just end up walking away from their homes. So why is it that the LCRA or the staff in their infinite wisdom has decided to give 90%? This does not compute to me.
If I may, and speaking
Yes.
with the staff, I brought this to the attention earlier, and I do share your concerns, and I feel the same way. I think there are some areas in Gravway Park right along Cherokee that are maybe more stabilized. And given that this visual proximity to Cherokee Street, you could come to that conclusion. However, given its location on Oregon, quite a bit west of the Cherokee-Jefferson intersection, and really closer to Potomac than Cherokee, this really is a challenge. And so I can understand where maybe we might be feeling like Cherokee Street's coming some way, but there are, you know, the neighborhood itself remains a significant challenge. So I just wanted to offer that
Oh, that's fine, thank you.
perspective, you know, on behalf of SLDC. But I share the concerns. It's why I am asking for a full 10 years at the full percentage. And,
I guess my concern is,
at the 100% level, yes.
and I guess my concern is that, you know, certainly there's a lot of vibrancy on Cherokee Street, but even one block south or north of there, or even the blocks south or north of there, still have tremendous amounts of vacancy and crime. and depressed property values. And I mean, it's nowhere near as vibrant as Cherokee itself, you know, is considered. So, you know, I really have to struggle with that a little bit. But thank you for your response.
I think you're concluding that we do not have infinite wisdom as a staff, and I think you're right.
Thank you, Dale. Questions of the committee, Alderwoman Howard.
Okay, so I guess my other concern, even with that 100% tax abatement, it'll be marketed for $169,500, and it'll be, what, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, I take it?
I don't remember the specifics on this. I think that sounds right. That looks standard for this. This is kind of a standard home, yeah.
So I guess my concern is, will it be
Well,
marketable?
Yeah, I mean, we hope so. I think maybe the 169 is a bit aggressive, but like I said, this is Ms. Johnson's second project in the area. She did have enough success with the first one to take on a second one, and I'm glad she did.
Okay.
So,
well, sounds good, worth a try.
Alderwoman Hubbard. No. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions. I wish you the best.
Alderwoman Spencer, would you like to inquire of yourself? I'm kidding.
Good.
Alderman Gunther.
Thank you. It looks like on the map is the house directly north and directly south of 3448 and 3452. Are they both being rehabbed right now, too?
You know, I don't, off the top of my head, know the answer to that.
Well, it looks like it according to the pictures on the city's website. So I'm excited to see the development going on right there. And as being the neighbor to the north of Cherokee, I would definitely say that that I think this is one of the areas that that I've been pushing for people that are interested in incentives. I say go south of Cherokee. So
Thank you for that.
yeah.
We
So,
need it.
so yeah. So thanks. Good job.
Alderman Oldenburg. So Alderwoman Spencer, on page 3, the clerk has noted line 5 still, well, I guess that's the recommendation from LCRA. So did you clean up the language in here aside from that line to make sure that this is 100%?
We cleaned up the language. That line's in there.
Just as a whereas.
Exactly.
Right. So, but the effective language and all of that is, okay. Wonderful. With that, I'll entertain a motion to pass out Board Bill 229.
I make a motion to pass out Board Bill 229 with the Dubas recommendation. Second.
Is there a call for previous roll? Is there an objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 229 passes out with a due pass recommendation. On to Board Bill 230.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board Bill 230 is a tax abatement for 3024 Potomac Street, which is a block south of Cherokee Street. This is very close to the other one. This building here, I cannot describe how grateful I am that we are rehabbing this building. You may remember Graveway Park being completely shut down for a full day due to a standoff. There was a meth lab in this building, and there was a lot of drug activity that came out of this for many, many, many years, which ended, as I mentioned, in a standoff, which shut down much of our police department. Helicopters, the whole neighborhood was cordoned off. This was just a year ago. And we have a local developer, Walker Hamilton, who I believe this is just his third project he's taken on, but has had success with his previous two. And he is taking this very unique, sort of, dare I say, ugly little building and bringing it back to life. Yeah. It's currently very ugly, I have to say, but he has some really innovative ways of making it, kind of capitalizing on its mid-century modern bones, and How do you say that?
Talking bad about mid-century modern.
Okay. Can we have some order
So-
here and allow the sponsor to complete her presentation?
So this will be a four-family unit. There are currently 4 units in the building, but, you know, he's completely gut rehabbing, taking out all the walls. He had to do that to sort of address some of the, you know, methamphetamines and other things that were being cooked up in there. So, and with that, again, this was recommended at 90%, but I am supportive of a full 100%. This is a very challenged part of the neighborhood, and this was a very, very challenged project. And quite frankly, I'm surprised he can make this work with just tax abatement. This is the only incentive that they are going for.
Questions from the committee? Alderwoman Howard.
What was this building built for? Was it originally built as an apartment building?
Yes, it was originally built as a four-unit apartment building, which is strange given it looks like it'd be a much bigger complex, but it's just 4 units.
2 on one side and 2 on the other, up and down?
Yes, and in order to get, so you come in and there's the 2 units on the first floor. In order to get to the second floor, there's a second staircase in the back. 2 of the units are 2-bedroom and 2 of the units are 1-bedroom.
It's an interesting building.
It actually has quite a nice little view, even though it's not that tall, considering it's kind of up on a little hill and.
Does it have parking?
It does have parking. So,
Off-street?
yes, so when you're looking at this little picture to the left, there's a garage. You can barely see it in this photo. It's a 2-car garage, and then there's a parking pad.
Huh.
So there's enough parking for 1 vehicle each for the 4 units.
I'm just surprised a more modern building is kind of stuck in this older, I mean, this is, you know, really, I would say unusual. It surprises me, but.
It's very unusual, and it's very unusual that a reputable developer would take this on, just given it. You would think he would look at the old historic buildings and things
But
like
you know,
that.
mid-century modern is, everything old is new again.
Right.
I know.
I'm feeling newer every day.
Okay, that's all I have.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions, just a comment. I'm just glad that we're all trying to get on the same page and realizing that we have to offer these type of incentives to try to change our neighborhoods around, even if it's 1 building at a time. This is the type of commitment and understanding that it takes, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions, except that I am mid-century modern myself, and it is ugly building, though. But I am in favor of what you're going for. I just had to put that in there. Thank you.
It indeed does not rival your own beauty, Alderwoman.
Thank you, Chairman.
Alderman Gunther.
No questions.
With that, I'll entertain a motion that we pass Board Bill 230 out with a due pass recommendation.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 230 out with a due pass recommendation. Hail, hail to mid-century modern.
Is there a motion for previous roll? Previous roll. Any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 230 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you, committee. And with that, we've heard all of the board bills on today's calendar. We will be meeting on February 20th, which is Tuesday at 9 a.m. I would like to thank everyone from SLDC and the Sheriff's Office that have come down here this morning. And in the interim, we're going to follow up on Alderman Williamson's Board Bill 247. And if anyone has any questions of that developer or would like to meet with them, please email me or call or text and let me know. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at, it's 204. I'm looking at Alderman Roddy's
You
board
said
bill.
for the 20th at 9 a.m.
Tuesday, February 20th at 9 a.m. will be the next meeting of the Neighborhood Development Committee.
All righty.
Great. All right, thank you, everyone.
Very much.
Meeting adjourned.